Welcome back to the weekly Brooklyn property market update, brought to you by myself, Katriona, Kearney, and of course, Donald Brennan. Happy August, Donald. To some, of course, the absolute heart of the summer.
It's flying by like usual, right? Every year it goes a little bit faster and faster. And, certainly quiet out on the streets around here right now, which is not unusual. But as we're going to kind of get into in a few minutes, doesn't mean the market itself is as quiet, right? Some good activity out there still.
So last week for the new to market and in contract deals for the luxury market, of course, last week was really the end of July for us. And so how did last week compare to the entire month of July in terms of the trends?
Yeah, so on the new to market side, pretty big dip down in listing activity. We had 9 deals coming to market in the luxury segment. And previously, the 3 previous weeks, we were averaging 18 a week there, and 15 for the total month. So pretty decent dip on the listing side. On the in contract side, some continued strength. 2 weeks ago, we had 10 deals going into contract. Last week, we had 15. So that average for the month was 13 inclusive of last week, and without last week was just 12. So at 15, that's some pretty strong activity, which is a strong signal to still what's going on there for certain assets at certain price points for people tying things up, and we'll get in that a little bit deeper in a few seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the below 2.25 million market, obviously, as we know, the data was really more of the same in terms of the activity. And if we compare that to July.
Yeah, so kind of similar new to market listings down to 38 last week versus an average that was somewhere in the 70s the prior 3 weeks for the month, and kind of coming off of seasonal highs back in April and May that we've already spoken about. So kind of a continued trend, but kind of flattening on a trailing 4-week basis. And you also see that kind of flattening on the in contract side as well. 63 deals in contract last week, off the clip of kind of high 70s the previous 3 weeks for the month. But again, kind of on a trailing 4-week basis, kind of flattening both numbers there above 60, kind of neck and neck with on parity, basically for new to market and in contract at the moment.
So that in contract activity is outpacing the new to market if we look at the overall month. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens when we go into August.
Yeah, I mean, as we were talking about earlier today, this idea of maybe waiting to the fall to pursue something with the idea that there may be more of that thing in the marketplace, is an okay premise on the face of it, right? Typically, there is a little more inventory post Labor Day or comes onto market. Not as much historically as you may see in the spring, but a pretty good active market somewhere just a week or so after Labor Day, running into the holidays. So yes, that should happen. Not for every asset type at every asset price point, but somewhere in there, you're going to see some new inventory. Now, just as a premise, if you're on a buyer and thinking about, I'm going to wait, you got to be kind of sure that the thing that you're waiting for is then also not going to have more buyers of that thing show up, right? So it doesn't really do you any good to wait if there's going to be more competition in the marketplace. So you just want to be careful with that kind of premise of market timing of like, I'm going to wait till the fall. More options, maybe I'll have leverage. And if it's just options and it's not so much about price, then fine, I understand that. That's good. But there's certainly some participants out there right now who are tying some properties up, which is kind of historically late into the summer at this point, doing that with the idea of having something in place for the fall and avoiding anything that may be elevated as far as more activity goes, right? We're kind of calm before the fall right now. And it's anybody's guess as to what happens there with interest rates and overall inventory numbers.
So last week's data, we looked at some notable townhouse listings and the difference between the price that they were first listed at, any price adjustments before they went into contract. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that looked like?
Yes, the top 5 deals we looked at where one was just priced under $8 million, like 7.999, and then the lower end, we're down around $4 million. So out of those 5 deals, 2 of those homes did not have any adjustments from the original asking to go into contract, and they were at the lower priced end of the range. At the upper end, we had a 10% adjustment, a 14% adjustment, and a 13% adjustment on those 3 homes from their original asking price. And Joe, just as a reminder, that is in no way unusual, right? There's certainly, as you move up the price point ladder, there's homes out there which are hard to comp out, especially you know, on the sell side of kind of expectations. You know, there's certainly instances where some high-priced assets have traded at their asking price, but those are really unique and not applicable, that uniqueness, to every single other townhouse in that neighborhood or block or whatever, right? So we have to always be careful with that. So, you know, and this is an important message for both buyers and sellers, right, as far as expectations go. If you're on the sell side, put something out there, a certain number of days. We talked about this kind of, you know, there's kind of a sweet spot in days on the market at a certain point where you need to make that adjustment. You can't just let that thing hang out there forever. Buyers are aware of that, red flag, you got to be super careful. So, but there's, you know, it is an iterative process to find where buyers may be. And in some cases, again, maybe at the lower price points, it's a fine line too. You can just come, you may just be above it, and the next thing you know, you're on it and you're getting multiple offers. So through homes that are, you know, out there for some period of time, you're going to see a little more of that if there's a demand, lack of demand for that particular asset.
So that's it from us. Check back in next week as we report on the first week of August data and see whether or not the current trends will continue. See you next week, Donald.
Take care, Katriona.